Hello, hello, Irene. Thank you so much for booking a reading with me. I'm here to deliver. So you booked a life purpose reading. Typically in life purpose, I do ask for parents' name and date of birth, but it's I can still do the reading with or without. But when I ask for the parents' name, it's just to show if this coming from your mother's side or your father's side, depending on what ancestors come before. But I'll still be able to give you general knowledge on what ancestor is coming. And then you actually ask questions for yours. So what we're going to do is just tailor it to what it is that you want to know. I can't guarantee that it's going to come out because it depends on if the ancestors want to reveal that information to you. But I will be asking because sometimes when it comes to your gifts, you have to work with certain spirits in order to activate certain gifts. Like with me, I had to work with my crow spirit guides, and they opened up a gift for me, and they were right there when it happened twice, and I didn't realize what was going on until I just put two and two together. So it sometimes it depends. But anyway, you said you want to know, are you on the right path? You want to know what your spiritual gifts are, what the ancestors are speaking to you, and how can you hear them and communicate back to them, and how can you use your gifts. So all of those questions are good. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Just a brief synopsis. Of course, we're going to be throwing bones. The bones are basically going to tell you right now, and also it's going to peek into the future a little bit for you, like your long-term future as well. And the bones, it'll communicate if ancestors are there, as well as I have some cards where I ask them to come out. Either them or a spirit guide will come out. They'll also tell you, the bones will speak about what path you're on. Of course, we have my spirits of the North deck we'll be using to communicate with them. I also have some other decks as well. At the very end, I like to use some life purpose cards to communicate your life purpose. But if we have time, I'm going to try to answer your questions first. Um, Also, what else? I have a little silver booklet here. I don't use this on the channel, but in personal readings, especially life purpose, I'll use it. This is my little book of notes about the bones. So if your bones come up a certain way, then I will read from the book, but they're my personal notes. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to channel the energy, and then we're going to throw your bones. To know which stone I have, what her spiritual gifts, what ancestors speak to her, how could she communicate clearly, or how could she use her gifts multiple of what spirit. Ask the spirit of my ancestors to be present to guide me during this reading, to protect
Fenifonoloron, Iba Olodumare, Oba Ajeke, Mojiloni, Mowogun, Meren, Aye, Iba Ila Orun, Iba Iwo Orun, Iba Riwa, Iba Gusu, Iba Ekalaye, Iba Orun, Iba Orunmila, Iba Egun, Iba Egbe, Iba Ori, Iba Oshun, Iba Shango, Iba Oya, Iba Ogun, Iba Oya, Iba Ochosi, Iba Obatala.
All right, let's see what we got here. I've seen an ancestor come forth for you. It is a woman. I can't get that much information, but in my vision, she came forth as a woman. She came out of a door. Something, I believe it's associated with a house. I don't know if you live in a house or not, but somebody who came out of a door. Um, I'm not even sure if she's dark or not as far as complexion, but she is. She's not revealing too much, but I know that she's a woman. I know that she's within your ancestry, and she's coming out of a door. And this is a door in a house. Well, we'll see what comes forward in your bones. Let me see. You have a lot of stuff going on in your higher self. This is your subconscious mind, your thoughts and things like that. There's a lot going on up there. I see you thinking about things that are going to lead you to success. This is interesting how this piled up like that. Your ancestors are leading you on the path of leadership. I see the stuff that you're into is going to be a reflection of your income. This means that the things that you go for in life, they're going to be a reflection of income. I don't know how to explain that. That's like me doing readings. What I love to do is going to bring me prosperity, is what I mean by that. Yes, I see actually abundance is going to come, it's going to surround you. You have lots of opportunity to manifest things. They're saying that, you do have an ancestor working with you on structure. This is organization in your life, getting things organized, getting your thoughts organized, getting your money organized, but eventually it leads to success. Give me just a moment to review. So they're showing that you're very, very wise. You have an ancestor of wisdom showing up. So this means an ancestor that's associated with somebody who kind of knows traditions and things like that. They're very, very wise. But this ancestor is also associating themselves with you, meaning that they pass on wisdom to you. They try to always keep you up on game on certain things. Basically, your intuition is sparked by this ancestor. Your urge for more knowledge is sparked by this ancestor. This ancestor has been through a lot of things. So this ancestor has learned things over time. And this is kind of, you're kind of going to have the same similar story of going through things, and this is going to be lessons for you. And I'm going to give a lot of examples so that you can understand what I'm saying. It's almost like you get kicked out the house. And as you get kicked out the house, you're like, oh my God, this is like the worst experience of my life. But as you figure out how to move in the world on your own, that is the lesson. You become stronger as an individual. So this ancestor is saying, don't be so hard on yourself, because a lot of wisdom that you're going to gain is going to be through struggle, the ups and downs. This ancestor is also pointing towards you healing. Healing certain things that have hurt you and taking them as wisdom to go forward. I don't know what you've been through in the past childhood, but they brought up childhood too. Interesting. I haven't seen that before. They're showing that sometimes you overthink things and you overstrain yourself. They also show that sometimes you want to express yourself. Sometimes you want to stand up for yourself, but things get in the way of that. So this means that you may have people who try to walk all over you or try to take advantage of your kindness. So this has to change, because it's in the feather of change. This has to change. Meaning when you put your foot down about something, you want to keep your foot down. Because I see some interference with your authority. This shows right here, you do know who you are. You know that you're very different. Basically, you accept every part of yourself, but you're going to more so within spirituality, there's still some things that you have to open up your eyes to see. Because I can see you being invested in learning like shamanic wisdom. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. Because over here, I see this cross. And this cross represents kind of still feeling a little bit restricted, even spiritually. Okay. Now, it's not to say you're so restricted that you're not invested into your spirituality. It's not none of that. It could be referring to concepts. You're still learning new things about yourself spiritually. So you still may be very restricted, or you still may have certain ideologies. I don't know how to explain that. And I always come up with the Christian, example, but that's the best way I know how to explain it. It's just basically saying that you may already have a set of beliefs that you're not going to necessarily break right now. So, needing to be more open spiritually, opening up your eyes to different concepts and different things. And when you start to do that, you'll start to learn more. Your intuition will, I'm saying, even spark up because you're able to introduce new things into your mindset. Meaning, it's kind of like the concept of people saying there's no good or no bad. And that's kind of what I believe too. There's not really a good or a bad in the world because they both kind of exist side by side. Without the bad, we would never be encouraged to get the good. If there's always good, then we wouldn't appreciate it as much. Without competition, we would never want to, see how far we can actually go. Because hey, there's no competition. So, whether I'm good or bad doesn't really matter, right? I can be comfortable where I'm at. And that's good too. But like I said, a lot of things don't cause us to do stuff unless a bad experience has happened to us. Most people don't want to connect to their ancestors until somebody passes away, right? Something bad happens. So now you want to get deeper into your spirituality to try to understand something, right? So that's kind of how life works. It's kind of like there's no good or bad. But a lot of people don't understand that concept because they're still in the strength of this is so negative or this is so positive, when both of them actually work together. But you can have a good life. Let's see here. They say you need to see the value in patience, allowing things to happen in divine timing. They also want you to remain, and with this is in the feather of patience, you remaining focused on your goals. So let's look into that. It says remaining focused on your soul mission, staying accomplished, staying in a secure foundation, reserving your money and your energy. So this means keeping your mind set on what it is that you want to do, and don't give your energy to arguments, don't give your energy to anything that's lower vibrational, reserving your savings, and just continuing to stay accomplished. Let's see what else you got on the plate here. Come off as somebody who is very, very wise. Let's go into some other things here. extra energy. All right, let me get to see. We can start right here. Hold on one second. Let's see what we got on the table already. Herbs, oils, crystals work on your chakras. Let's see. You got surrender, candle work, ancestors, Reiki abilities, meditate, ego interference. Okay, so one, you have a lot of I guess you could call it, yeah, shamanic energies. Like you'll be somebody that's really good with, like I said, the candle work, orbs and crystals, really, really good with working energies. Like with the Reiki abilities and stuff like that, that's more like if you would be good at, I think it's called crystal healing too. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but the first thing I think about is my elder. When you put the crystals on somebody and you're able to remove certain energies from them, energy blockages, stuff like that, you'd be really good at working on chakras too. You're somebody that would be really good at getting into practices, learning ancient medicines, stuff like that. Like you'll be very good at that. I also see a lot of teacher energy in you. So somebody who learns and also knows how to teach wisdom, how to teach people how to move energy. But one thing I see here is ego interference and surrender. So something about basically you need to get really tapped into your gifts as far as your intuition. When it says meditate more, literally meditate, because basically this is how you're going to be able to hear your ancestors. It also shows you be really good at candle work and stuff like that. But basically you be really good at utilizing tools. But anyway, when it says meditating ancestors, this means that you need to get in alignment with hearing them. When ego interference comes in, that's basically like, well, you have your set in stone ways that nobody can come in and interfere with. Somebody tells you, no, that's not going to happen. And you're like, yes, it will. Or even vice versa. You're like, no, it's not going to happen. And somebody's telling you, yes, it will. So this means you have a projected energy on how the ancestors are going to speak to you, or even how you're going to receive a message. Let me give you an example, because some people say, well, I don't have no restrictions. However they want to give me a message is how I get the message. But look at it like this. If you were, like for me, I'm going to give you my example. When I first started getting into veneration and stuff like that, I said, well, I don't know if it was angels or what it was. I think it was the ancestors. I'm not sure. But how they're going to send me signs is they're going to send me a feather. I wanted feathers. And the funny thing was, I kept wanting it to be this certain type of way that they're going to communicate to me or give me a sign. But essentially, that didn't happen until later on my journey. And I didn't even want it anymore at that point. And what I mean by that is I wasn't expecting it that way. So one time, I was crying and a feather and a bird scratched his, I think it scratched his back or whatever, and a feather fell right down into my hand. And now going forward, I receive all types of feathers, especially in big changes in my life. I receive a feather or something like that. And now I know what they're saying even within the animals. But the principle is, if I stay restricted on how the ancestors are going to talk to me, I'm never going to receive the message and how it comes. That means when you get an intuitive feeling that, hey, you shouldn't be in this place, but you're like, no, everything went right the last time and the time before that, so I'm just going to go into this place. That's like you getting in the way of your own intuition. I hope I'm making sense, because it can be very simple. It can be as simple as you not going into that room because you felt an intuitive feeling that something ain't right, but you go in there anyway based off of your history with this place. I've never had a problem before. I'm just going to put that to the side. I'm going to put that in the back of my mind. I'm going to go into it anyway. And then you start getting into conflict and things like that. But most people won't zoom into that, because they'll just be like, well, I just got into a little bit of an argument. It wasn't that big of a deal. But essentially, your intuition was telling you ahead of time, hey, you might not want to go in there today. So meditating and connecting to your ancestors is going to be very, very important for you building up a bond to where you have no restrictions. And like I said, with that cross right there, it's like restrictions in path, restrictions in tradition. You might have a set amount of ways that you'll do something. It's like only praying in English, but you never pray in your indigenous language. You never open up new doors because you'll stick to this one way of doing things. Okay, so let's see what your ancestors are saying to you. Interesting. You got a lot of cards coming out for you. Let's put that up. So the funny thing is this card fell on this. So I put these two together, right? So it says ancestors, meditate. So your ancestors are here. It says the ancestor you ignore speaking. It says, when are you coming to talk to me? I have something to tell you and bring me something in return. This means that if you don't have an altar, you want to make sure that you got one. But nonetheless, you want to spend time meditating with them to hear their messages. Bring them a glass of water. Even if you feel like you didn't get no type of message, no type of sign, no type of nothing, leave it there. Just bring your presence and say, I'm at attention. Pray to them. In a sense, like when you're praying to them or praying for them or whatever, you want them to be lifted, uplifted. You want them to hear you, whatever you do. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just go over there and speak to them. But prayer to me is always the easiest way to get in the meditative state. But anyway, so you go over there, you talk, and you meditate for a little while. If you do get something, you write down how you feel. If you don't get nothing, if you don't hear nothing spiritual came, that's fine too. The answer will come to you later. Because one thing people don't know about spirits actually can do a lot. If you think ghosts, which are, wandering spirits, can do things, what do you think your ancestors can do? And they're on an elevated realm. So they'll communicate to you through the songs, through the television, through books. Ancestors have a way of communicating. We just have to trust that they will. And not take any message for granted. Because everything is not going to be a feather just showing up at your door. Most of the time, you'll have to figure it out through other ways, because not every ancestor is going to whisper in your ear. Some of them speak sign language. So this means, when are you coming to talk to me? So they've been waiting for you to get on that level with them. So let's go over here. And you also have the bloodline ancestors even in my deck. So the ancestors here and the ancestors here. So this is another confirmation, double confirmation. It says, we are summoned by your call, give specific offerings. We are proud of you. This means give them something that they would like. If nothing else, just start out with water. Because sometimes you don't know what the ancestors want, but if you keep things simple, simple is always okay. Okay, so you have passing of wisdom, receiving one's destiny, respecting taboos. So this means that they're passing on wisdom to you. But I already see this happening in your bones. Because you have I don't want to just solidify it to a female ancestor, because it could be more coming up for you, but there's definitely a female ancestor that does this. And you have justice, wrongfully accused. I'm sorry, I'm just naming off cards. Hold on one second. Oh, so they're saying you're a filler. You want to pay attention to how you feel. Just like when I was mentioning that room, that was just an example, but they're saying that sometimes you get yourself into situations that you could definitely avoid if you pay attention to how you feel. Because it says you can feel their pain, energy, and picking up on everything around you, positive and negative. The thing about that is you just have to be able to decipher, is it positive or is it negative? Is it in my best alignment or should I stay away from it? Meditating will help you tap into your own energy to where you pick up on energy. You can feel it. You can feel a spirit around you. Most people aren't stilling their mind enough to recognize what they feel. That's why when women get pregnant, they tend to pick up on things a lot stronger than they would when they're not pregnant. Their senses are heightened. But they can still be heightened with or without a pregnancy. You just have to be tapped into that energy. The pregnancy just proves that it can happen. But they're saying that yes, you need to start picking up on energy so that you can avoid certain dangers that might come to you. Even certain situations, sometimes you may want to, stand up for everybody and stuff like that. And sometimes you just need to leave it be. Because they show you getting trapped in certain situations because you may not speak up about it or either avoid what the things that you already felt from certain people. So if you feel like this person got a bad energy, sometimes you need to base that on your intuition and just go with it, is what they're saying. So they're saying that you need to go in trance. And this says fast movement and meditation. Trance is actually feeling spirit. That's why a lot of people dance so they can feel good. Same thing with working with spirit. You want to start getting into these meditative states. And you don't have to dance, but dance is an example of getting into that spirit. You also have remember us. Remember the sacrifice we've made. Ancestors have paved the way for you. So again, you got some ancestors that have worked hard. And they honestly see the same thing for you, but in a different light. So when I see this card, it means make no excuses as to what I feel like I'm going through. An ancestor probably has went through much worse. But I can learn from what I've been through. But they're saying that they've paved the way for you. This means that they've made room for you to have certain opportunities that you have. Father spirit, protection, strong will, family, leader of tribe. You'll be a strong spiritual practitioner. I also see you being someone as an advocate. Someone who would be very good, like I said, at spell work and stuff like that. Like you can move energy with objects and stuff like that. Like you can send energy to crystals. You can command energy very well. You're going to be somebody who's very, very wise. I also see a protective figure around you. You got as above, so below. The past repeating itself, deeper understandings, lessons, receiving messages that are absolute. So they're saying that you would benefit from getting into old traditions, old wisdom, old knowledge. This will help you learn a lot about life. But they want you to be in a secure foundation. Focus on your foundation. Yeah, they're saying medicine woman. So you're somebody that would do good to study medicine and how to invoke the medicine and ashe from something. So let's count to 5. If any ancestor wants them out, we'll reveal them. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So you have 2 women spirits here. This normally means that they're related, one older than the other, but there's 2 female spirits. You do have a male spirit here. That's all that came up for you right now, but I feel the stronger that you build certain connections with your ancestors, the stronger you'll be able to communicate with more. But these are just who are coming up today. All right. So they're saying you're going to be starting to get very well acquainted with certain things. You're just going through a life of learning or a period of learning. They also show that you're very creative too, and this comes from them. Your creative spirit comes from your ancestors, and you have this twice. You see how they're crafting? Very good at working with tools, creating tools. Tools for spirituality is going to be probably something that you're going to get into. You also have a building here. So this normally represents somebody owning a building, or you going out to start a business. It also represents opportunities for you here to serve a higher purpose. But you do have a shaman living within your ancestry, a male shaman, and you also have women here too. They may not be into the spiritual aspect of it, but they're still very wise. And there's also a spirit that watches over you, an ancestor spirit that's very close to home, that's a woman. Now, last but not least, I'm going to pull at least one card from my life purpose cards, and we'll tell you what that means for you. Strong cards. Ooh-wee. When you really get tapped in, you're going to be really, really powerful. Really powerful indeed. Because here you have the seer and the reader. And most people don't get both because they both serve different purposes. The seer represents the psychic, the one that is either clairvoyant, they can see into the past, present, and future. Things come to them through not necessarily the stuff that they see, but their intuitive gifts. I mean, they're just gifted. There's some people that have to necessarily do certain things, but this is a person that's naturally gifted. The reader would be an example of that. The reader is like using cards and stuff like that, but the reader is also someone that there's benefits to the reader too. The reader is somebody that can, after a few minutes of being in someone's presence, you can tell who you need to deal with and who you don't need to deal with. The person can really read into people's intentions, and they read with their physical eyes, meaning they may read the animals. If the birds are arguing, they know that might be a negative presence that's going to come. So they can read into a lot of things. The reader is very strong, but also the seer. The seer is like the natural gifted one. The reader, it may take them a minute to absorb everything, but they can still read into the situation just the same. Just different forms of reading, but both of them technically are readers. And you have gifts in both. So again, when you stop, restricting yourself spiritually in a sense, you're going to basically be very powerful in that way. You're also, the prayer represents a messenger from spirit, meaning you feel things and you just know. You may hear something like the world is going to end, but in your spirit, you know that it's not going to end. You know that it's going to go further, right? So you're the person that holds faith, and it is your job to hold faith. to whatever you hear from spirit, you know it in your heart and your soul and your being, and that is it. Whether you need to prove it to somebody or not, you are a messenger from spirit, so you hold that within your bones until it is proven to be correct. The Reaper represents you are very high spirited. It means that you are somebody that's always going to be eager to do whatever it is that nobody else wants to do. You're always willing to help. You're always willing to carry the load on your back. But be careful not to get taken advantage of with that ability. But you're somebody that always holds everybody up, especially with Earth Mother. Earth Mother pretty much is the same meaning. It means that you hold the good and the bad. You keep the world balanced. You're somebody that's tapped into all of your senses as well. Or eventually you will go on to be. Interesting indeed. So for you, I would just recommend start tapping into your energies through meditation. Don't limit how a message comes to you. If you want to start communicating back, I would say start with getting their messages first, because you're going to communicate to them regardless. We just don't feel like we're communicating because we don't get confirmation back. But even me speaking to your ancestors right now, it's not something like they don't get it. They get the messages. It's more like you interpreting their messages back to you when you put out that request. So I would recommend doing that first. And then eventually I would recommend, with you having these reader cards, you go in to get either some cards or you get like a pendulum or something like that to do some simple yes and no exercises with your ancestors. Because using cards and stuff to medium, it just helps us to confirm what we're already feeling. Without all of this, you can still communicate to your ancestors. This just gives us extra confirmation. All right, so I hope this reading helps. Please let me know that you have received it and you have a great and wonderful day.